Hello everyone, welcome to our next session on technology for management. So today let us discuss about system implementation. So as you all know, implementation is the process of ensuring that the information system is operational, and it involves some activities like constructing a new system from the scratch, or constructing a new system from the existing one. That is nothing but the upgradation of the machinery. So this implementation allows the users to take over its operation for use and evaluation. So it involves certain training the users or to handle the system and plan for the very smooth conversations and so on. So system implementation is the process of defining how the information system should be built. That is the physical system design. Then ensuring that the information system is operational and used by the users, and ensuring that the information system meets the quality standards or the quality assurance. And so in simple words, a system implementation is the process of installing hardware and the software and getting the automated information system up and running. So that is what I said. It should be operational and it should be used. So moving on to the next aspect, system implementation. So the very first step in system implementation is implementation planning. So this is the first step involved in the system implementation. So it is very basic function which describes effectively the very basic questions like how, where and when the objectives can be realized, or it serves as a guiding framework. So planning equally involves a careful assessment of the available resources and the challenges which the team might have to encounter while reaching their business objectives or goals. And again, each of the system implementation again is dependent upon the how big your business or the organization is. So system implementation planning involves implementation tasks, then expected completion date. So when the project might be completed, again I'm telling it is expected completion date. So actual date we will not know till the actual project is completed. So cost estimates and the person or the persons who is responsible for each task. So it can be a project manager or a project leader. So a project manager is a professional who is responsible for planning and execution of projects within predefined timelines and resources. So this project manager can be hired by using some of the techniques. But however, some of the qualities or attributes are mandatorily required in project managers. And of course, this project manager is always supported by both the functional as well as the technical professionals who look after the operational and software development requirement. So this planning should also include the adjustments of the company's organizational structure as well. So moving upon to the next one, it is develop and test software programs. So in this phase, there are around 7 steps that has to be, and these are again the process of developing and testing the software. So here you determine the user needs. So what all the user needs, you just make a note of it, and what is the end user expecting, you just have a note of it. Then you develop a plan, what are the hardwares and software systems needed for your system development. Then write the program instructions, so that is the code, and what is the language you will be using, and yes, of course, this is the coding system. Then you are going to test the program. So after everything is done, you are going to test it to check whether the program is running successfully, and whether the implementation program is successful, and whether we are getting the output what the users expect, what the end users need. So here you're going to test the program, and in case you have any discrepancies or any problem with the system, you are going to again recode and fix all that problem as per the requirements of the end users. And once it is done, you have to document each and every aspect, everything from finance, from the codings, from the operational aspects, from the expenses, how much you have incurred, and everything, the system and the codes, everything will be documented. So the complete program is documented. Then you'll have to train the end users like as to how it has to be used. So what are, in case of a small problem is occurred and all, they should be it should be easily solvable, and they should be user friendly, and each time they can't be calling the operator or the designer to come and solve even the small problems. So mainly the system operators must be trained properly such that they can handle all possible operations. It can be both routine and extraordinary. So operators should be trained in what common malfunctions might occur, or how to recognize them, and what are the steps to take when they come. So it is like as I told you, creating troubleshooting lists to identify possible problems, and of course remedies for them, as well as the names and telephone numbers of individuals to contact when unexpected or unusual problems arise. Then they should know how to run the procedures which involve working through the sequence of activities needed to use of course the new system. Again, very important, the end users training is a very vital part of the computer based information system development, which must be provided to employees to enable them to do their own problem solving also. So even the end users must be trained how to operate the equipment, and sometimes how to troubleshoot the system problem, and determining whether the problem that arose is caused by the equipment or the software. And also these minute things must be completely trained in the system. Then again, install and use the system. So the final thing is, once you have been training, so the final system is you are putting everything in the place. You have installed everything, people are trained, you have well equipped software, and it is ready to use. So it is like very simple. From virtual classroom you are coming to the normal classroom. So again, here also we are speaking about the next system, select and train the personnel. So the employees can be hired from outside the company, that is on the contract basis, or transferred internally, so that they can they are well equipped, and they can be skilled in these kind of software developments or software operations and technicians and so on. So then they can be transferred internally. Then it should occur before the system testing and conversion. So it should occur before system testing and occur. So this training also can happen through virtual classroom. Then it can be instructor led training, so where it involves both trainers and trainees who have to meet at the same time, but not necessarily at the same place, virtual classrooms. In this virtual classrooms, trainers must meet the trainees at the same time, but not necessarily required to be at the same place. So it is like now how we have Zoom classes or classrooms or webinars, and also it can happen through video conferences or text based internet relay chat tool, and virtual reality packages. There are so many such packages also. Or they can have a normal classroom sessions using a blackboard or overhead projectors or LCD projectors and so on. Or it can be self-placed training, like it involves both trainers and trainees who do not need to meet at the same place or at the same time again, but the trainees learn the skill themselves by accessing the course at their own convenience. We have these MOOC classrooms or the Google Classrooms. So at your own convenience, you can access, things. So, but again, in corporate way, in system implementation or system development training, it is again different, wherein we term it as multimedia training, where here courses are presented in multimedia format and stored in CD-ROM. So it minimizes the cost in developing an in-house training course without assistance from external programmers. Or you can have web-based training. So in this, training courses are often presented in by hypermedia format and developed to support internet and intranet. So it provides just-in-time training for end users and allow organization to tailor training requirements as well. Then you can also, so again I'm telling training should occur before the system testing and conversion. So what is this conversion or the conversion plan? Moving upon to the next one, it is conversion. So it contains description of all the activities that must occur during implementation of the new system and put it into operations. So it anticipates possible problems and solutions to deal with them. So the data files might need to be modified, and the files may be moved to a different storage, or data content may be changed, or the file format may be changed, and so on, or the name of the files for conversions, and listing all the new documents and procedures that are required. So identifying the responsibility of persons for each and every activity, or identifying the controls to be used in each and every activities, and so on. So again, even in data conversion, there are four methods of conversion, which is parallel conversion, direct cut over, then pilot approach, then phase-in method. So this, what is this parallel conversion? Is that old and new systems are used, simultaneously. Hence, it is called as parallel conversion. Wherein direct cut over conversion is that new system is implemented and the old system is replaced completely. Then the pilot approach is like it supports phased approach that gradually implements system across all the users. Then phase-in method is that working version of the system implemented in one part of organization based on feedback. It is installed throughout the organization all alone, or by stage by stage. Like for example, in colleges probably it is installed, some technique or the method has been installed in one department, and slowly it is implemented in all the department, probably in UG or in PG. So slowly they experiment, and then it is implemented in all the system, again depending upon its advantages and disadvantages. So this is the final step wherein it speaks about system evaluation and maintenance. So in this process is to evaluate and maintain the new system. So post-implementation review should be conducted on a newly installed system. So this is a tool or a standard approach for evaluating the outcome of the project and determine whether the project is producing the expected benefits to the products or services. So it enables the user to verify that the project or the system has achieved its desired outcome within specified time period and the planned cost or the budget as well. So this stage helps to determine the success of the project against the project costs or benefits or the timeline, or it also helps to identify the opportunities to add in additional value to the project, and helps to determine strengths and weaknesses of the project for future reference and appropriate action. Then to make recommendations to the future of the project by refining cost estimating techniques as well. So again, even in system evaluation and maintenance also, there are three types of system maintenance. Just give me some time. I'm going to type it down here. So first one is corrective maintenance, second one is adaptive maintenance, and the third one is perfective maintenance. So corrective maintenance enable user to carry out the repairing and correcting leftover problems, whereas adaptive maintenance enables user to replace the functions of the programs, and the perfective maintenance enables user to modify or enhance the programs according to the user's requirements and the changing needs. So that was about system implementation, and so here we end up the session. Thank you and have a great day, guys.